Shalom, this is Amonute Tayac of Piscataway, your friendly neighborhood Shuman, Sophia Spiritualite, the AmaruKhan Miriyam, and we're here with a research video, which I have not done in quite a while, but I have been contemplating this energy known as Franklin that was terrorizing me in the subconscious realm, and I really wondered, where did this guy come from? And so in my wondering where he came from, I was like, well, I gotta find out what his other names are, because one thing about these deities, these entities, one thing we see from the Most High God, our Father, our Mother, they have multiple names, multiple names, and you best believe that anything in the universe that's trying to imitate the Creator is also going to have multiple names. They're gonna go by multiple things. They're gonna update their image, right, so to speak, as they gain power, gain access, gain whatever it is. They're gonna rebrand. Think about these celebrities. You know, when their image gets bad enough, they've destroyed their image. Then they rebrand. Look at the Diddler. You know, first he was Puff Daddy, then he was P Diddy, then he was Diddy, then he was Puffy, then every time he realized how people started thinking, man, this guy, something's wrong with him. Oh, it's time for a rebrand. Now you're going to rebrand as something else. Look at Jehovah. You know, he's Jay-Z, then he's Hova, then he's Hove, then he's Jehovah, then he's, all of these, different rebrands. You know, even Beyonce knows, then she's Bay, then she's, Beehive, and it's Sasha Fierce. Every time these people get in too deep, they rebrand. And so, I just wanted to go back to the beginning. What did they call this guy, like, back in the day? Maybe, slightly after Sumerian times, but still within that realm. What was this guy called? And so, as I was just digging into this, his name, Franklin, this whole concept of Fontus came up. And then you see the whole quote-unquote Trinity: Janus, Juturna, and Fontus. Janus is the father, Juturna is the mother, and Fontus is the child. And so you're just thinking in your mind, okay, well, what does this mean? What does this look like? So we're going to take a look at it and hopefully make some connections. Of course, if I'm talking too slow, don't hesitate to speed me up. All right, so this is Janus, and if you haven't seen this two-headed thing, basically anything two-headed is representing Janus, and Janus is God of all beginnings, gates, transitions, time, choice, duality, doorways, passages, and endings. This is your, not the creator though. Don't get it twisted. This is not the creator God. This is the God of the beginning, not the God of creation. So we know that we're not talking about the creator here. What we're talking about is who the creator put at the door, the person who's guarding the gates, almost like Saint Peter, Saint Paul, so to speak. So let's read a little bit about Janus. In ancient Roman religion and myth, Janus is the god of beginnings, gates, transitions, time, duality, doorways, passages, frames, and endings. He is usually depicted as having two faces. The month of January is named for Janus. According to ancient Roman farmers' almanacs, Juno was mistaken as a tutelary deity of the month of January, but Juno is a tutelary deity of the month of June. Now, Juno is a female, and this is why this made a difference. Okay, Janus presided over the beginning and ending of conflict, hence war and peace. The gates of a building in Rome named after him, not a temple as is often called, but an open enclosure with gates at each end, were open in time of war and closed to mark the arrival of peace. As a god of transition, now think about this. The gates were open when the war was in, but they were closed when peace came in. That's something to keep in mind when you think about these stories in the Bible, because they would have, this is a primordial deity. They would have done this. Okay? As a god of transitions, he had functions pertaining to birth and to journeys and exchange, and in his association to Partunus, a similar harbor and gateway god, he was concerned with traveling, trading, and shipping. Janus had no flamen or specialized priests assigned to him, but the king of the sacred rites himself carried out his ceremonies. Janus had an ubiquitous presence in religious ceremonies throughout the year. As such, Janus was ritually invoked at the beginning of each ceremony, regardless of the main deity honored on any particular occasion. They always invoke Janus first. I wonder what his invocations look like. We'll get into that. While the ancient Greeks had no known equivalent to Janus, there's considerable overlap with the cultins of the Etruscan pantheon. However, the Greek word Genesis, which means a new beginning or rebirth, may be the true origin of the name Janus. Genesis. So your book in Genesis and your book in Revelation is basically Janus. The beginning and the end. I don't know why they didn't say Revelation, because that would be pretty obvious, right? All right, let's see his theology. While the fundamental nature of Janus is debated, in most modern scholars' view, the god's functions may be seen as being organized around a single principle, presiding over all beginnings and transitions, whether abstract or concrete, sacred or profane. Interpretations concerning the god's fundamental nature either limit it to this general function or emphasize a concrete or particular aspect of it, identifying it with light, the sun, the moon, time, movement, the year, doorways, bridges, etc., or else seeing in the god sort of cosmological principle, interpreting him as a Uranic deity. So they associate Janus with Uranus. Almost all of these modern explanations were originally formulated by the ancients. So, god of change, position in pantheon. He was often invoked together with Jupiter. Okay. Solar god, temples. Let's see, we might go on to Fontus. Let's see. Another way of investigating, this is cult epithets. Another way of investigating the complex nature of Janus is by systematically analyzing his cultic epithets. A religious documents may preserve a notion of the deity's theology more accurately than other literary sources. What that means is, honestly, looking how people worship the deity is going to tell you more of the truth than what scholars say about it. And that is the truth. That is the truth. How people worship the deity this is how you know the difference between Roman Christians and Orthodox Christians. The Roman Christians worship the man. The Orthodox Christians worship the office. Difference. Huge difference. Even when you're looking at cults in general, there's cults where the cult worships the actual person, and there's cults where they worship the title. And those are vastly different, because the title can do no wrong, but the person holding the title, they could be wrong. This is the difference. Like the celebrity who's called Diddy can be wrong, absolutely. But if he's holding the title of Diddy, then no, that the person holding the title is not the person who's wrong. You know what I mean? Or that person can do no wrong because they're holding the title. It's a difference in the way that you deal with the entities. Okay, the main sources of Janus cult epithets are the fragments of the Carmen Soler preserved by Varro in his work De Lingua Latina, a list preserved in passage of Macrobius Saturnalia, another in a passage of Johann Lidus de Mensibus, a list. I'm not reading all of this. Okay, Carmen Soler. I can't. As may be expected, the opening verses of the Carmen are devoted to honoring Janus. Thence were named verses Iannuli. Paul the deacon mentions the verses Iannuli, Iovi, Ioni, Minervi. Part only part of the verses Iannuli and two of the Iovoli are preserved. The manuscript has what? It's not even tell you what it says. What? It says Consi sower, the sower, which opens the Carmen and is attested as an old form of Concivus in Tertullian. How do we not know Tertullian was involved in this guy? The opener, the gatekeeper, the good creator. Tertullian called him the good creator. King, father of the gods, god of the gods, keeping track of time, the gatekeeper. Okay, so Janus is the gatekeeper. So okay, he's the gatekeeper. Obviously, he's the gatekeeper. He's literally the gatekeeper. So, all right, so let's kind of wrap this up on Janus before we go on to the next guy. Janus, in your mind, in your mental construct, in your mental wonderings, for like example, in my regression, Janus is the gatekeeper. Janus is the one who tried to keep me in the, what did I call it? The waiting room in my own subconscious mind. I can't get into my regression because Janus is trying to keep me running around in circles and not able to get into the next stage. So that's Janus. That's what this is what he does in your mind. This is because the thing, well, I don't want to go into that yet, but this is what he does in your mind. He is the gatekeeper. He's the one that keeps you from getting in, and he's also the one who can keep you from getting out if you have a schizophrenic episode or something like that. He's also the one who could keep you from being able to get out. And so you definitely want to know who you're dealing with so that you can be, clear on what's going on in your own subconscious mind, because it can get kind of dicey, dealing with your own self. And because this is a primordial deity, this is one of the ones that was, quote unquote, the original being, right? Okay, so let's look at Fontus. Now, when I went to Fontus on Wikipedia, as you can see, this is a very, very, very short article. So, Fontus, or Fons, was a god of wells and springs in ancient Roman religion. A religious festival called Fontanalia was held on October 13th in his honor. Throughout the city, fountains and wellheads were adorned with garlands. Fontus was the son of Juturna and Janus. Numa Pompilius, second king of Rome, was supposed to have been buried near the altar of Fontus on the Janiculum. William Ward Fowler observed between 259 and 241 BC, cults were founded for Juturna, Fons, and the Tempestates, all having to do with sources of water. As a god of pure water, Fons can be placed in opposition to Liber as a god of wine, identified with Bacchus. An inscription includes Fons among series of deities who received expiatory sacrifices. Well, what does that word Fons mean? Hold on. We're doing it. We may as well do the whole thing. Okay. that says a member of a people inhabiting the southern part of Benin. Okay. Fine. I just want that's interesting. All right, so this was like I said, this was a very short article. So I found a much longer article, and I thought that this would be very interesting to some people. So Fontus God, exploring the ancient Roman deity of wells and springs. Fontus God, also known as Fons, was an important deity in ancient Roman religion, associated with wells and springs. Celebrated during Fontinalia festival on October 13th, Fontus was believed to be the son of Juturna and Janus. The deity held a significant role in Roman mythology, with connections to water purification and regeneration. Worshipping Fontus involved adorning fountains and wells with decorations. Numa Pompilius, the second king of Rome, was believed to be buried near Fontus' altar. In this article, we will delve into origins, worship, symbolism, and modern cultural influences of Fontus God. The origins of Fontus God. The ancient Roman deity of wells and springs, Fontus holds a significant place in Roman mythology. They do a lot of repeating, by the way, so it's not really me, it's just they repeat themselves. All right, this session delves into the historical background of Fontus, exploring the deity's connections to Roman mythology and its role in ancient Roman society. And before I even go on with that, let's look back at our little magic thing. I'm not gonna pull up the with the flowers because let me see if I can find it. I can find it. Okay. And the thing about charms, let's see. All right. For him, he had raised, this is in the little thing that I translated from English. For him, he had raised water towards the sun above to Janus. He had poured water into the open channels of the Irigal, which is a river. This is what this guy is, the ancient Roman deity of wells and springs. So this is who is one of the people who the sorcerer works with to keep people from, getting to where they want to get. This is one of the it is interesting, and this made me think of it because if the sorcerer went to Fontus in order to curse people or whatever the case may be, he did it into the open channels of the water, but how did that water get to the person he was trying to curse? Which made me think, what started to make me think that, our bodies are 70% water. If somebody curses the water, and it's a guarantee that water is going to make it into your system somehow, because we are mostly water. We bring a lot of water into our bodies. And so if somebody is cursing you with the water, that is cursing the waters that are in your body, because all the waters are connected. Because when we're born, this is the problem I was having, right? Because when we're born into a quote unquote sack of water, right? And if when we're born into with this sack of water that is protecting us while we're in the womb, that means that we can't avoid these guys. This is the God of water. Then the God of entries and exits. Like, the portal is definitely an entry point. So there's no avoiding Janus. There's no avoiding Jantus. There's no avoiding Fontus. There's no avoiding these guys. The whole thing about it is they're not supposed to be torturing and tormenting us. That's against the rules. And technically, once we discover them, they're supposed to leave us alone. But I don't feel like I was saying, or I have been saying, I don't know if I said it in the video, I don't feel like those guys have been leaving me alone the way that they're supposed to, which means in my thought process that maybe they need some more exposure and for me to really have an understanding of who they are so that they know that their time is up. They cannot continue to, plus they can't continue to mess with me because they've been caught, and they've been caught within my own waters in my own body. It's wild. Okay. Fontus, also known as Fons, was revered as a god of wells and springs in the ancient Roman religion. I wonder what tus means. Let me see. I'm sorry this is taking so long, but we're gonna get to the bottom of this. I'm really exhausted. Let's see. They're just showing me emojis. Okay, so tus is similar to tis. Tus is similar to tis. I didn't say tis, I said tus. Hold on, let's see. Maybe it's not. I'm looking this. So tus it kind of means, it could mean to frighten. Yeah, it means to frighten. Toss is similar, like terms of service. Ooh, tus, cough, expulsion of air from the lungs. So fontus is, wow, that's weird. Expulsion of air from the lungs. I wasn't expecting to see that. Hold on, let me go back. I'm sorry, I'm doing this on my phone. But we're going to see. So, fons means the bottom or the lowest part. It means flows. Okay, so you have fontus literally meaning flowing from the deep. Expelling, coughing out from the deep. It's the that's what childbirth is, when you cough out the baby from the deep. So anyway, that's interesting. All right, so now we know what we're talking about. We're talking about a child who was coughed out from the deep of the mother's womb. All right. All right. The Romans believed that fontus possessed the power to purify and rejuvenate their water supply, ensuring its cleanliness and abundance. Fontus was the offspring of Juturna and Janus, two prominent Roman deities. The historical records suggest that cults dedicated to Fontus, Juturna, and the Tempests, storm deities, were established between 259 and 241 BCE. So they're not as these deities are not as old as the Sumerian ones. but they go back far enough that these were some of these quote unquote other gods that the Hebrews kept coming up against, with these people believing in all of these different gods. Fontus' divine lineage can be traced back to Juturna, the goddess of the springs, and Janus, the god of the beginnings and transitions. So it makes me think of like when they say and the face of God moved on the waters. Like Juturna was the waters that the face moved upon, the face being Janus, if you're going to put it into this cosmology, right? As the son of Juturna and Janus, Fontus inherited their influence over water and its transformative properties. I'm not going to read this again for the 10,000th time. All right. The worship of Fontus held significant place in Roman religion, with various rituals and festivals dedicated to honoring this deity and acknowledging his importance in the Roman pantheon. Listen, I just want to point out, this is literally the opposite of Jesus. Like, I don't even have to like keep. Remember, I said that Franklin was evil Jesus. This is who Franklin is. This is the negative side of Jesus, with all of the talk about water and how much different stories in the Bible there are about Jesus and water, walking on the water, meaning conquering the water. He walked on the water. He conquered this guy. That's why that story was so important, because he told the waters what to do. The waters calmed down. This is why these deities, these entities, this Satan, quote unquote, is so upset, because man can conquer them. And so instead of staying out in the open where we can deal with them the way that we're supposed to, these fools now hide in our subconscious and say, okay, we're going to hide in the waters that's in the deep, like in deep within the human mind, so that when you're trying to get something done, they can come out with their crap and literally say, oh, well, this and that and whatever crap they got to say. This stuff is so ridiculous. All right. So anyway, this is another reason why they were so mad at Jesus. I'm not going to keep reading this because Cult of Juturna and Fontus. This was the most important one. The cult of Juturna, the mother of Fontus, played a significant role in the worship of Fontus' god. Juturna was a goddess associated with running water, particularly springs and fountains. She was considered the protector and guardian of these water sources. The cult of Fons, the pure water god, is closely intertwined with Fontus worship. Fons represented the concept of clean, fresh water. Devotees sought his favor to ensure the presence of pure water in rivers, lakes, and other natural bodies of water. Let's see if we can find the cult of Juturna anywhere. Let's see. Oh no, I didn't want to bring it over here. Ugh. All right, well, we're already here. Juturna. All right, Juturna was an ancient Latin deity. Latin? Wait, pause. We're talking about Roman. I guess I mean Latin as in Rome? Okay, I must be. That's okay. And why would they call her a Latin deity though? Juturna or Diuturna was the goddess of fountains, wells, springs, and the mother of Fontus by Janus. Okay, Juturna was an ancient Latin deity of fountains. Why did they say Roman? Who, in some myths, was turned by Jupiter into a water nymph, a naiad, and given him a sacred well in Lavinium Latium, as well as one near a temple to Vesta in the Forum Romanum. The pool next to the second well is called Lacus Juturnae. A local water nymph or river god generally presides over a single body of water, but Juturna has broader powers, which probably reflects her original importance in Latium, where she had temples in Rome and Leviathan, a cult of healthful waters at Adria, and a fountain well next to a lake in a Roman forum. It was here in Roman legend that the deities Castor and Pollux watered their horses after bringing the news of the Roman victory at the Battle of Lake Regillus in 496 BC. All right. Virgil, in literature, Virgil makes her sister of Turnus, who supported him against Aeneas, giving him his sword after he dropped it in battle, as well as taking him away from the battle when it seemed he would be killed. In the end, however, she could not save him from his fate and retreated into her waters mourning. Juturna is further Hellenized by Juno's conferral of Catasterism, an act that links her with the Dioscuri. These divinities all share similar function as helpers of the mortals and had traditional cultic connections in early Latium. Ovid relates her affair with Jupiter, or in the Greek Zeus, to the secret was betrayed by another nymph, Larunda, whom Jupiter struck with muteness as a punishment. So here you have this whole thing with Zeus tied in, except for when we're talking about her, Zeus is actually Janus. So here we go. We've got Zeus as Janus, who's gatekeeping your subconscious realm. You've got I call the evil father god. You've got evil Jesus as Fontus, and then you've got here Juturna as the evil mother, the evil stepmother. That's how I put it in my mind. They got a Juturna lake in Antarctica. That's anyway. Holloway has argued that the goddess shown carrying a winged helmet on early Roman coinage is Juturna, but her iconography is largely unknown. Isn't that a surprise? A later altar relief from the temple Castor and Pollux in the Roman Forum may depict her. A Roman festival was held in her honor on January 11th, when she was given sacrifice and honored by the Fontani, the men who maintained the fountains and aqueducts of Rome. Okay, so let's go back over here. So okay. Now I went looking to see if there were other two-faced gods and what they were talked about. So you have here, this is Adroa. And there's Adroa and there's Adro and Adroa. Okay? Adroa is the supreme god of the Lugbara people of Central Africa, so Sudan. Adroa is a god they worship, and this aspect of the god was known as Adroa Baal Bapiri, God the creator of men. Adroa was said to have created the first man, Gaboro, the first woman, Meme. We're going to look at that in a minute. The first woman was not, in their culture, was not Eve, it was Meme. As in meme wars, as in pictures that's taking down the elites right now, with pictures of, Pepe the Frog. I mean, this stuff is kind of like insanity. Boro and Meme were also twins. Okay, here we go with the Cain and Abel issue with the twins and all. Okay, and they were considered their ancestors of the Lugbara. Adria is also credited with the establishment of social order by communicating the laws to the tribal ancestors of the Lugbara. Adroa has two main aspects: Adroa the good and Adro the bad. These two dual aspects can further be broken down into smaller aspects. Adroa, the good aspect, is transcendent and far removed from mankind. Now, remind you, this is the female aspect that's outside of space and time. This is how I describe the Father God, outside of space and time. He's not right here quote unquote with us because he's outside of space and time. This aspect is sometimes called Adronga or Adroga. This aspect includes Adroa in different roles, including Adroa Badupri, God the taker away of men, as a death deity, and Adroa Bija, God in the sky, a sky deity, so sky daddy. Adro, the bad aspect, the male aspect, was described as tall, white, and only having half a body, as he travels by jumping around on one leg. He is described as earthly and dwells on the earth along with mankind, especially in rivers. Now, who are we? Listen, this is where all of this stuff is confused. Adro is the same as Juturna. Adroa, the positive side, would be quote unquote Janus. So when you see the picture of Janus, they act like it's he has two faces. It's his two parts, his masculine part and the feminine part. The masculine part is the one who connects you, who stands at the gates, and the feminine part is the one who is the waters that the face moved upon in the creation story. This is just another way. I only bring it up like this because you got to see the many different ways that these things play out, because they all affect you, meaning water affects you tremendously. If you don't understand how they're using water to affect you, it's not that they're poisoning the water. They don't have to poison the water where you are. All they have to do is poison the water, period. And because of how the atmosphere works, that water will make it into your body. So if we need the waters to be purified, which is what quote unquote Fontus or evil Jesus Franklin does in the Roman pantheon, then he's the one who also will curse all the waters, so that as they're working with this deity to maintain their power, they're continuing to curse the waters which are making it to you, which is why you have to have the protection of a positively oriented Jesus to fight against the negatively oriented Fontus. That's not a battle that you can fight. The battle of good and evil is not the battle that you can fight. You can only continue to choose good. You can't actually fight against the evil, because in my regression, I couldn't fight against them. All I could do was continue to reject them. Like, oh, well, you can't do that. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, well, you can't do that. Oh, yes, I can. I'm not asking for the permission of Franklin, Fontus, Janus, Jutus, or any of these entities that think that they have the responsibility to gatekeep for me. I don't think so. I'm not you don't have no power over me. But if you don't know to say, hey, Fontus, Janus, Juturna, you guys are fired, go have a seat somewhere. If you don't know to say that, these things keep popping up. And this is why so many people need to be regressed, because you got to get these things out of control. Look, I never even got to talk to Zeus in my thing, because Zeus is a gatekeeper. I did interact with Zeus because I was stuck at a gate. I was gatekeeped out of my own subconscious realm. That was me dealing with Zeus. But I never got to Juturna. So I have to go back and do another regression so that I can balance out this Juturna energy. Because this is the one that is, Juturna has to do with the flowing waters, not the purification of waters. I could be purified, but if the water is not okay, this is it. Oh my freaking goodness, this is it. This is exactly what I've been saying. We've already done the work to bring in the blessings, right? So in my case, I feel like the blessings are just backed up. They're not flowing. That's because you got Juturna in here blocking the flow. Now, how do you remove a deity, an entity who believes they have the right to block your flow, to keep you out of the flow? You have to have a way to deal with that. Otherwise, how do you get into the flow of life if you've got this primordial evil stepmother blocking the flow? I mean, think about Cinderella. What did Cinderella's evil stepmother do? She was trying to block the flow of Cinderella getting on that carriage, getting married, doing all this stuff. Why? To allow in these evil stepsisters and continue to keep Cinderella, even though she was beautiful and she was amazing, to keep her working like a slave. And that's what this Juturna has done inside our subconscious realm. Imagine a gatekeeper inside of your subconscious realm stopping all your blessings from flowing. You got to do something about that. You can't just allow that to be hanging out, doing whatever. No, you have to unblock the blockage. The blockage has to be opened up. And so this is why looking into other pantheons is really important, because they're all one. The Lord our God is one. Like, all the pantheons are one. They just give them different names. They use them in different ways, but they're still talking about different names of the Creator. The Creator is expressed in all of these different entities. And that's why the blessings have to flow to you or to me or to whoever, because we are a part of that reflection of the Creator. Meaning we have to have access to all the Creator has access to. They can't decide that they're going to deny us access. But do you have to fight with them? Yes. Do you have to put them in check and say, yeah, I know who you are. You are the one who is trying to block me from my abundance that I deserve, that I already worked for. No, you don't have the right to do that. Janus. All right, I'm sorry. Adro is usually invisible, but will appear to those who are close to death, and thus is also associated with death. Adro was worshipped through child sacrifice, but since the 1930s, a ram was substituted as the victim. Some versions do not consider Adro to be the evil equivalent of Adroa, but as a class of earthly spirits who are refraction of the good aspects. What I just say, both Adroa and Adro are part of the Lugbara man as a sign of divine creation, our masculine and feminine aspects put together. In this aspect, Adroa is also known as Tali. Women are thought to have no Tali. Upon a man's death, the Adro aspect was thought to leave his body, rejoining with the Adro in the rivers, becoming Adronzi. Meanwhile, Tali rejoins Adroa in the sky. What is Tali? No. Adro is also known as Tali. Okay. All right. So, let me go back to my other page here. Let's see if we can wrap this up. In our subconscious mind, these three entities have taken up shop. Janus, Juturna, and Fontus. Janus is the father, Juturna is the mother, Fontus is the son. These three rival the the holy divine trinity of the Creator, the Father God, the Mother God, and the Son Jesus, right? And so Janus is the gatekeeper. Janus is the one who decides whether you get into your subconscious realm. You have the smarts, you have the brains, you have the whatever. And if you are unable to get into the subconscious realm on your own, you better have someone there to help you, i.e. what will happen in a regression. Then you have Fontus. That's who you basically encounter next. And Fontus is the one who purifies you. So if he says, oh, you broke all these rules, we followed all of these rules, totally ignoring all the rules that they're breaking, then in order to follow those rules, you've got a whole nother set of issues, because you got this Franklin Fontus guy hanging out in your subconscious, acting as if he is the one who is responsible for any of this stuff when he ain't responsible for nothing. Then you got Juturna. This is the one who is managing the flow of whatever it is, or managing the flow in your life. And so when you have a blockage, when things are blocked and they're unable to flow, that is Juturna. It's one thing to have a abundance in your life and it's just kind of messed up. Then you need Fontus, or what Fontus would be, the good side of Fontus, which would be Yeshua, Jesus would do, is would come and purify what you already have. But if you have a blockage, if things are not coming to you the way that they're supposed to, then you have a Juturna issue. You have a flowing water issue, which means you have to deal with that differently than you deal with Janus, and then differently than you deal with Fontus. Now, I don't know exactly what that is, but now that I've done this video, I'm certainly going to be asking the questions and looking into Juturna and her quote-unquote cult. If she was such a huge cult leader, then it should be easy to figure out how to work with her in a positive aspect, because the whole thing is you can't get rid of these guys. It was my thought, oh yeah, you just get rid of them. No, their job is to gatekeep you from your subconscious, control the flow of things in your life, and to micromanage you. This is their job. Fontus, micromanager. This is their job. And so knowing that this is their job, that means there's got to be a way you can work with them so that they will get out of the way. Now, Juturna, maybe she just needs to be acknowledged, by certain individuals like me, like us on this channel. Maybe we just acknowledge her. Hey, we know you're the one who allows things to flow into our life. Could you please allow the blessings and everything that we need to flow in so that we can be happy and successful and all of the things that are owed to us and we deserve for all of the work that we've already done. Maybe it's just as simple as that. Maybe it's just as simple as lighting a candle. Maybe it's just as simple as, acknowledging, that there's a deity over the things, over your ability to flow in life. I don't know what is going to be required. I don't know what is going to be necessary, but I am going to ask the question. And then when I get the answer, Janus is pretty obvious and Fontus is pretty obvious, but Juturna is far less obvious how this is supposed to work. So I'm going to have to do some more digging. But I thought it was better to just have this conversation on here as opposed to just having it in my mind and then not having any documentation of what I even talked about or my even thought process of researching. So I really hope that we figure out what Juturna has to do with any of this, and how to properly invoke her to allow things to flow into our life, because that's all we don't want to stop her from doing her job. She's the one who creates the flow. Then we don't want to stop her from doing her job. We just want to say, can you let the good things flow in and let me take the bad things to, quote unquote Jesus, Fontus, whoever, to purify it. This is the order of things. The order of things is for the mother to allow it to flow and for the son to come in, clean it up, or whatever the case may be. That's the natural order, to purify it. Fontus will be working as kind of like the shaman, the who conducts the purification rituals. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking them to work any differently than they already did, because even in my regression, I was able to get into my subconscious, but I had to take a few extra steps. So it wasn't like he could stop me from getting into my subconscious, but it just took a few more steps than it does for some other people, I guess, do in nature to who we are. I don't know. I'm not really I don't know. I don't have a good, answer for some of this stuff. I'm just trying to put it together, and I feel like, if I talk about it, then I'll be able to put it together a little bit better. So I hope this made any sense. I hope this was any kind of helpful. If any scriptures or Bible stories or any kind of stories jump out to you from this video, please share them in the comments so that I can look into it and try to figure out, how do we strengthen our relationship with Juturna so that it's not such a chaotic relationship where she's just, blocking all this stuff from us because of, some reason we don't even know. I'm sure it has to do with these, sons of Lot or whatever. Could just be us, just like with Sophia doesn't work with black women because we turned our back on her. So it could be that we turn our backs on her. And so we have to build this whole relationship with her by proving that we're not going to get a little bit of success and then turn our backs on her. A lot of what's going on is proof. We have been here for a long time. We have varying degrees of relationships with these people, and we have to prove that we're not going to do the same thing we did last time when they come to help us. And that's what a lot of this is. A lot of people, the last time these deities showed up to help, they sold them out, or they ignored them, or they forgot them. And we just can't do that. It's like, I'm not even mad at Janus or Fontus for what they do. I'm not mad at them. I just want them to work with me instead of working against me so that I can get done the stuff that I have to get done while I'm here. They're just prohibiting me from getting done what needs to be done. That's my problem. Not that, I hate them or anything like this. It's just, if this is what your job is, that's fine. If we have a name for you, we identified what you do, fine. But right now you're creating a problem for me because I can't get done the things that I need to get done because you're in the way. So we need to have a good working relationship. Otherwise, all of this stuff just goes down in flames. You have to, and there's no reason why you should be working against me when I'm actively trying to work with you. I'm not trying to work against any of these entities. I'm just trying to prevent them from what they've been doing, which is causing a bunch of chaos and making my life more difficult than is necessary because of whatever reason, whatever lesson I didn't learn the last time, whatever I did in my behavior to deserve this, I don't deserve it. I am a different person on this incarnation cycle, and therefore I have not treated my inheritance lightly. I have taken many, many steps to stay in line. Therefore, you have no reason not to trust that I'm going to continue to do the same. And dropping it to me is actually making me more fatigued. It's making it harder for me to be able to complete what it is I need to do because I have everything drip drop to me. I need a flow, a abundant flow to come in so that I am able to accomplish what I'm supposed to be doing. I can't do that with drips and drops coming in. I don't know anybody who can do it like that. Nobody has ever had to. It's like they're just doing it to us because of whatever it was we did on the last time. Sending our brother to the cross for no reason. Every time it came up, always worshiping these other gods instead of working with the gods and making sure everything was done properly and properly venerating them and all that stuff. It's like we always made stupid mistakes when the going got tough. We did something stupid. I can understand that. I have siblings, I have kids. When the going gets tough, they do stupid stuff. They don't make the right decisions, but you still have to give them enough space to try to correct it. And that's where we are. You don't have to trust that we're going to do it right. We just need enough space to try to correct the wrongs. If we get enough space, enough flow, enough access to the waters, to these primordial waters to try to correct what was wrong, then we will. We're not like our ancestors. We're not just going to walk away and forget all this stuff. We're just not. We've had enough punishment to know that that's not the way that you handle things, that we have to stay and fight, that we're willing to do what we're told, that we're willing to follow the orders, but it has to be a co-creative experience. I can't be out here in this life cycle giving it 100% and y'all are like, nah, we don't believe her. We can't do it like that. It's got to be, I'm giving 100%. You have to give 100%. 50-50 is stupid. Should be 100-100. Every day I show up, I give my 100%. So I need them to show up every day and give me 100% of what I'm supposed to have access to. Let me show you what I can do with it. Now, if I mess up and I'm not listening to the correction, of course you have to put me back in timeout. You have to put me back in timeout. I get it, but I'm saying on behalf of myself and of our people that we don't deserve that. We have proven that we're not going to be like our ancestors. You can see it all over the place. The astrology is not going to even allow us to be like our ancestors. We're not going to be fooled by these smooth talking whoever people who really don't have good intentions for our people. We're not going to be moved by that. We're not going to be swayed. We haven't been up to this point, really, except for all the propaganda, but even the propaganda doesn't make sense. We are willing to use our minds to think about things and not just go along to get along. But what we need from these entities on the other side is for them to give us 100% access of what we are supposed to have access to get the job done. And then if they think we do a bad job, okay, we can come back and renegotiate. But this kind of negotiation from a position of I have nothing and I have to beg for crumbs, that's not fair to us. We're not nobodies in this scenario. We're the ones with the bodies. Therefore, we need access to what our body is supposed to have to take care of itself. That's simple. How can anybody be expected to excel when you have nothing? Nothing is for when you are being purged. I heard an astrologer say, you have to purge. You might have to get rid of a lot of stuff. It's like, but what if you already have nothing? What is there to get rid of when you have nothing? When you've stripped out all of the shadows and all of the stuff, and you know what kind of work you have to be done and all of that. Not that you're perfect, but when you stripped out all the stuff that you can physically do at the current moment, then what? Don't you have to be given some new resources so that you can try to deal with the other stuff. 98% of my problems have to do with access to resources. Resources is what is going to access to resources. The flow of resources into my life is what is going to solve the problem. Not money, a flow of resources. But if I have Juturna blocking my resources, then I can never advance forward. It'll take forever to get to where I'm supposed to be, when in fact it could be done really fast. And because we are in this Pluto and Aquarius energy, things should be done fast. If you look at 1776, the start of the country and all of that, that was all really fast. We turned into a world power in like 3 or 4 years. It was fast. And so we need, just like that time, as the founding thought leaders of this country, we need access to the same resources the founding fathers had that turned this country from a ragtag group of, miscreants from all over the planet into the leader of the free world. We can redo that, but we can't do it like this. And that's all I'm advocating for with this particular pantheon. We cannot do it like this. We cannot. It's not fair. It's too hard. We don't deserve it. We shouldn't be punished for what our ancestors did. We are not our ancestors in that regard. We are really striving to do the work that's necessary and not to separate ourselves from the world so that we're set apart, we're special, we're this, we're that. No, we're trying to be the leaders of the world. Be the thought leaders, even if it is on a small little YouTube platform with 600 and some followers. That's it. I'm fine with that. If I can use this small platform and influence the hearts and minds of people all across the world, I don't need a bunch of followers to do that. If I had the resources, I wouldn't care about the followers at all. The only reason people care about the followers is because of the resources that come with the followers. This is why I don't want resources from followers. I want resources from the creator, from the mother, from my brother. I want them to give me their resources so I don't have to ask followers for resources. Not that I wouldn't, but it shouldn't be a requirement. That would be the proper order of things for us, not for everybody. Everybody has a different order that they operate by, but we're the daughters. We're the daughters in training to become the queens. We can't be a queen of a kingdom with no money, with no resources, with no power, with no influence. It's required. And everyone in the whole solar system knows that. So all we're asking is for them to be fair with us so that we can reach into the position we're supposed to be in and get the job done. We can't get it done like this. And I think, everyone should understand that by